Welcome to The Explainer. Every single day we're all making choices. What we're going to eat, what we decide to wear, what we buy. But have you ever really stopped to wonder why you pick one brand over another? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain and breaking down the complex science of why we buy what we buy. We're going to uncover all those hidden forces that are guiding your decisions.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. We've got 4 key stops on our journey today. We're going to start with the big question of, why even bother studying this stuff? Then we'll zoom right in on the psychological triggers buzzing around in your own mind. After that, we'll zoom back out to see how the world around you actually shapes your choices. And finally, we'll walk the exact path from a simple thought all the way to an actual purchase. Okay, before we dive into all the theory, let's just make this real for a second. Think about the last thing you bought. Seriously, maybe it was a coffee this morning, a book, maybe even a new phone. Why that one? Was it just a simple need? Was it the price tag? Or was there something else going on? Something maybe you didn't even consciously realize? Just keep that purchase in the back of your mind as we go. And that question you're holding in your mind? It brings us right to our first section. To really understand the choice you just made, we first have to define the science that studies these kinds of decisions. So the key thing to get here is that consumer behavior isn't just that single moment you tap your card or hand over some cash. No, it's the entire process. It's the whole shebang. It's that little thought you had yesterday that, maybe I need a new one of these. It's the research you did, the purchase itself, sure, but also how you use it and even how you feel about it weeks later. It's literally the full story behind every single item in your life. All right, now let's go a layer deeper. Let's look inside our own heads, at the internal psychological factors that push us to act. This is the very engine that drives all of our decision-making. A lot of the time, it all starts with our most basic fundamental needs. And a brilliant way to see this is with Maslow's hierarchy. The whole idea is that we're driven to take care of our survival stuff first. Food, water, shelter. Once those are handled, we start climbing the pyramid. We look for security, then we want to belong, then comes status, and right at the top, we're chasing self-fulfillment. And let me tell you, marketers are all over this. They don't just sell you a car, they're selling you status. They don't just sell you insurance, they sell you peace of mind. But it's not just about needs, right? Beyond that, there's this super powerful filter that shapes absolutely everything, our perception. The way we interpret the world, every ad we see, every product sitting on a shelf, it's totally unique to us. I mean, 2 people can see the exact same commercial and walk away with completely different takeaways. And get this, we don't just see everything. Our brain is like a bouncer at a club, actively curating what gets in. Through something called selective exposure, you suddenly start seeing car ads everywhere the second you start thinking about buying a new car. And then, after you buy it, selective retention kicks in. You'll find yourself remembering all the great reviews for the car you chose while conveniently forgetting the good stuff you heard about the one you didn't pick. It's just our mind's clever way of making us feel good about our choices. Okay, so we've looked inside the mind, but our brains don't just float around in a vacuum, right? They exist in the real world. So let's zoom out and look at how our environment provides this kind of blueprint that guides and, honestly, constrains our choices. I mean, just think about where you are in life right now. Your stage in what's called the family life cycle, for example, can totally change your priorities. As you can see here, if you're young and single, your money might go towards fashion, going out, maybe a car. But for newly married couples, the focus shifts to things like furniture and appliances. And then if you've got kids in the house, suddenly it's all about home goods and things for the kids. Our needs change and our spending habits follow right along. And, of course, we're social animals, right? We are massively influenced by our reference groups. These are the people whose opinions we actually trust and whose lifestyles we might even want to copy. It could be a straight-up recommendation from a friend, an endorsement from a celebrity you look up to, or even an expert, like a dentist recommending a specific toothpaste. We use these groups as a yardstick for our own behavior. This quote just nails it. It perfectly captures the biggest, broadest external force there is: culture. Culture is basically the sum of all the learned beliefs, values, and customs of our society. It's like this invisible instruction manual that guides what we think is normal or cool or appropriate to buy. It's always there in the background, shaping our choices in ways we don't even realize. Okay, so we've got our internal engine all revved up, and we've got the external blueprint from the world around us. So what's next? Let's walk the final piece of the puzzle, the actual path we take when we go to buy something, from that first little spark of an idea to the final action. First thing to realize is that not all decisions are the same. Not by a long shot. For the simple, low-cost stuff we buy all the time, like toothpaste, we use what's called routinized buying. We barely think about it, we just grab the brand we always get. But for a huge, expensive, and infrequent purchase like a car, well, that's when we engage in extensive problem solving. And that takes a lot of time, a lot of research, and a ton of mental energy. So for those big, hefty decisions, we usually go through a pretty clear 5-step journey. It all kicks off with problem recognition, that, my old laptop is just too slow moment. Then comes the information search, where you're looking up reviews and asking your friends for their opinions. Next up is the evaluation of alternatives, where you're comparing different brands and models. That leads you to the purchase decision itself. But wait, it doesn't end there. This last step, post-purchase behavior, is so critical. How do you feel after you've swiped your card? If the product lives up to the hype, you feel satisfied, and that builds loyalty to the brand. But if it doesn't, you get what's called post-purchase dissonance. We all know it. It's good old-fashioned buyer's remorse. And that leads to regret and makes you second-guess your entire decision. So what this all really boils down to is this. From your deep-seated needs and personal perceptions to your social circles and your entire culture, every single purchase you make is the result of this incredibly complex dance of forces. By understanding this framework, you're not just learning about marketing, you're learning about yourself. You can become a more aware, more intentional, and frankly, a smarter consumer. So the question is, what will you notice on your next trip to the store?